Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so that you do not miss the uploads that come up. And the easiest way for you to navigate the channel is to head to the playlist. You'll find videos curated for you based on your interest. So if you're interested in the Critical podcast, you'll find a playlist for that. For news and trends, there's a playlist for that. Exclusive with MD90, a bunch of playlists that are created based on your interest. So the easiest way to navigate the channel is head straight to the playlist and you'll find what you're here for. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Right next to the subscribe button is a join button. You click on the join button so that you can become a member of the channel. You support the team on the production and a number of things that we're doing here, and we appreciate that.
Well, a lot has taken place in today's court hearing, and one thing that is commendable is actually they are televising the broadcast to enable people to make their own judgment as the proceedings are happening. That's a good way. Obviously, each side of the aisle is pushing their narrative. Every side is telling like they are the victory lap in the court hearing, but I'm pretty sure you've come across a number of extracts from what happened in court. But this is an image that was taken right before the court proceedings started, where former First Lady Esther Lungu and the immediate elder sister to the late President Edgar Lungu were heading to court. And then another thing that people commended what transpired is the security that was around the former First Lady. As you know, the situation in South Africa is a little bit cumbersome, so there was an extra layer of security that was around the former First Lady as they entered the court. And obviously, I'll try to keep the broadcast as brief as possible because there is a lot to cover in today. What transpired today, a lot happened. One thing is for sure, the verdict wasn't given. That I can give you from inception. So the verdict hasn't been given, but the court has assured both parties to say, in as much as the verdict hasn't been given, it will not be beyond this coming Friday. So it can be tomorrow or the day after, but definitely the verdict won't go beyond Friday, 8th August. So those are some of the highlights from the proceedings. And then because his benefits were withdrawn, so why should it annoy the applicant if he sought financial help from friends and family? Judge questions the Zambian government lawyer. So every side was bringing out extracts from what was transpiring in court. So that was a question that was asked to the government representative. And then a good section of the Patriotic Front or members that are standing in solidarity with Edgar Lungu family traveled to South Africa as you saw from the pictures yesterday, where Davis Muda was actually captured, pretty much photographed, been there a day before. And then as of this morning, Joseph Malanji. So according to this caption, say earlier today, Honorable Joseph Malanji, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, and his spouse, Mildred, arrived at Pretoria High Court in South Africa, where they went to give solidarity to the Lungu family. So Joseph Malanji wasn't the only person that was in court. Pretty much, I think majority of the Patriotic Front Central Committee were part of these proceedings. They went to stand in solidarity with the Edgar Lungu family. And then the UPND say it was Lungu's wish to be buried in Zambia, Lungu family lawyer. So those are the two different sides of this aisle. Every section was giving their point of view with regard to this, and then these are some of the images that were taken in court. You could see former First Lady Esther Lungu interacting with the Sira Lungu, Chawama Member of Parliament, and the daughter to the late President Edgar Lungu. And then people were just looking at that picture to say, looking at Sira Lungu, she looks more like a dad in as much as he's gone. The resemblance is very loud amongst them. And then this was the video that was taken as they are walking in court. Just stand by. So when you look at the placard there, that was one thing that stood out during the court hearing today. It seems like in South Africa they allow protests to take place when a court hearing is happening. In Zambia they don't allow that. Usually you can see the police around the place and pretty much tell the public to stay away usually when they're trying to protest. But as of today, a good number of sections from one that are supporting the government with the repatriation to Zambia, and then also standing with the Edgar Chagalungu family. Those protests were both allowed. And then to use Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's case, you must remember that the body of the late Kenneth Kaunda was in Zambia, while the body of the late Edgar Lungu is in South Africa. That's the difference. Judge tells Zambian lawyers. So obviously that argument was placed by the attorneys for the Zambian government, where they were saying to say a precedence has been set by other presidents that have died, where they are buried at Embassy Park. So Edgar Chagalungu's situation shouldn't be different from that. So that was a response coming from the judge as that argument was being placed. And then obviously some more images that were taken from court. This is according to this caption. Say they went to see the body. Can we verify? So it seems like this was a section on the side of the government. It's not known, but anyway, yeah, that's what the caption read as. And then the UPND had this to say: immediately you begin to see your lawyer taking too much water during a case of that nature, just know that things ain't balancing. So the UPND was standing on solid ground. They're saying they're very comfortable with their submission earlier on in court today. So they're just saying the lawyers for the Lungu family in South Africa was taking a lot of water, and it's not a good show. It simply shows the case is not going according to the way they planned it. Obviously, these are the protests that I was talking about. So there are two sides of this protest. You could see one side for the Attorney General, pretty much the government and repatriating the body to Zambia, and then another section standing with the Lungu family there, as you can see from that caption. Obviously, the response was perhaps give us a draft program to show that the family and government indeed agreed the president would be present at the funeral. The judge agrees the Zambian government lawyer. So that argument to say no program was presented where President Hakainde Hichilema would preside over pretty much the proceedings of Edgar Chagalungu's funeral when it comes into Zambia. So the family was arguing to say once they came across that draft from the Zambian government of a program that they did not consign to, that's where the talks, or pretty much the agreement, was now and void. So that was what was presented in court. There is a lot from today's proceedings, and then obviously that was a list of the judges. The judges are involved in this particular matter. It's tagged as Government of the Republic of Zambia versus Esther Lungu and 7 others, and then obviously that's the court's case number. And then that's a bench of judges that is presiding over this case. And then the UPND had this to say: we want him to be buried. We want him buried in South Africa because the Zambian government stopped him from jogging. That act amounts to persecution. Family lawyer submits before Gauteng court. So they say that was the argument to say because the Zambian government was blocking Lungu from doing those where they started the morning runs. And that's why he should be buried in South Africa. So this is the other side of those that were standing with the repatriation of the body to Zambia. So part of the placards reads them: respect Edgar Chagalungu's wish to be buried in Zambia. Mama Esther and Tasira Letage and Makebi, before Hakainde Hichilema, think about Zambian people. Edgar Chagalungu saved. Reflect and preserve Edgar Chagalungu's legacy of National Day of Prayer and Fasting and reconciliation and national unity. Our culture and customs refuse your burial in our soil. Please come and don't come and confuse our ancestors. So those are the sides that were pushing for the body to be repatriated to Zambia. So two different sides. And obviously, a member of parliament, given Katuka Muelwa, had this to say: I wish that all political and non-political cases were streamlined live from our courts in Zambia. This would help even the public to judge for themselves. So she was simply commending to say, You could see how the South African courts have conducted themselves with regard to Edgar Lungu's case, where they know everyone is paying attention, so that no one is able to push any narrative. Just broadcast the entire thing, and people will be able to assess. Yes, in as much as you can see, both sides are trying to push a narrative to say they won the court hearing today, but as long as people have access to the broadcast, they can assess to say, oh, this is what happened as we wait for the verdict. Unlike where everything is kept off the public and only the verdict is broadcast or pretty much announced, people can make can push can play to the gallery pretty much. These were images from a court where you could see Makebi Zulu interacting with Given Lwinda, some smiles there, and then obviously some serious faces. So Makebi Zulu family representative of Edgar Lungu family and the PF acting president Honorable Given Lwinda have arrived in Pretoria High Court, South Africa. So a good number of the Patriotic Front was in South Africa today for this court hearing. I don't know if they'll stick around because the verdict hasn't been stated to say, wait, is it going to be tomorrow? The court has simply stated it's going to be before Friday. So it can be tomorrow or the day after, but definitely before Friday or Friday itself. So I'm pretty sure a good number of them might have come back to Zambia and they'll fly over when the verdict is to be given. Then given Katuka was simply having a breakdown today. She was like, I regret and repent of being a Zambian politician. I ask God to forgive me. And then the diplomacy in this post, because she's got a number, I think a court case where she speak on, is it a journalist at some point? So she's simply regretting getting into active politics and becoming a member of parliament there. So I don't know if she's sending a sign to say she has no plans of contesting that seat. We wait and see how that plays out because she's an independent member of parliament. But anyway, it seems like a court case is not going to her liking, and that's why she's having that reflective moment there. And then obviously these are some of the images from some of the protests. Let me show you some of the outcome of these protests. These were from the Lungu family. And then Sean Tembo had the view to share, but let me show you what happened amongst the protesters. Just stand by.
Twitimu lyawa etimu eri abo abalira ntapali baimana omwambala napali bayisiewabo yawa uyo mayo uyo mubiri federation wawa abantu itimu lyawa etimu eri abo abalira ntapali baimana omwambala napali bayisiewabo yawa uyo mayo uyo mubiri federation yawa iri apa yawa banaka imwe banaka abantu abo bawa afina ketimu lyawe eri apa imwe.
So the guy you hear in the background there was on the side of the Edgar Lungu family. He was simply saying those that went to protest on behalf of the Zambian government, pretty much like trying to push the agenda of repatriating the body back to Zambia. Eventually, he went back because they are not paid, allegedly, according to what they are pushing there. But different sides of are pushing their own narrative. So there are two different sides. One was protested for the government repatriating the body to Zambia. The other side was simply saying the wishes of the family should stay and prevail in the court hearing. Then Sean Tembo had this to say, which the UPND posted to say, family lawyer appeared to be compromised. Anyway, we shall wait and see. So simply, he wasn't impressed with the way the Lungu family lawyer was conducting things. That's according to Sean Tembo's view. He wasn't impressed. And then the UPND simply say, Mr. Zero has already seen a zero, simply saying there's a possibility that the court verdict might not go in the favor of the Lungu family. So Sean Tembo was like, there's a possibility that the family lawyer was compromised. But anyway, and then the UPND said, when I send you this, just know that things are no winner. So the UPND was standing on solid ground. They seem to be very sure of how they presented themselves in the court hearing today. So they put up an image of Given Lwinda simply showing that, hey, things are not going in favor of the Lungu family and pretty much the Patriotic Front representatives there. These are some of the images that were taken from the Gauteng Court, High Court earlier on. You could see a number of members of parliament there and the former First Lady and some of the children to Edgar Lungu in that picture. And then Mashaka Akashamba had this to say. And I waited for the part where Makebi Zulu said he would tell the story of Edgar Shagalungu to the whole world. Is it next sitting? Wrote Oliver Shalala. So simply jabbing at the patriotic front and the Lungu family, simply saying, hey, you made a big deal to say you're going to tell Edgar Shagalungu's story. How come you're quiet about it? Did things go to plan or not? So these are some of the protesters that were, they call themselves, is it, I've forgotten the name they call themselves, but pretty much are pushing for Edgar Lungu's body to come back to Zambia. And then Emmanuel Mwamba simply says, yeah, Oluse, like, look at them, they're looking petty there. The UPND was like, it is a serious allegation that that had Edgar Shagalungu been granted early leave to seek medical treatment, he might not have died so soon, Zambian government. So the Zambian government pretty much put up an argument to say, those allegations to say Edgar Shagalungu been given permission to leave Zambia to go to South Africa earlier on, maybe he would have survived or pretty much lived longer than he lived. So that was the submission from the Zambian government or the lawyers on behalf of the Attorney General there. You can see Makebi Zulu, you can see Rafael Nakachinda, and a number of lawyers from Zambia there as they were following proceedings. As you are aware, Makebi Zulu cannot practice in South Africa because the jurisdiction is different from Zambia. So they are just following just like everyone else in the background. And then the UPN, the moment where you have concluded your submission, but it feels like you haven't started yet, so simply laughing at the way the Lungu lawyer represented them, like he did a bad job. That was pretty much the highlight of that. So those are some of the protests that were seen at court. And then obviously Oliver was like, the government of the Republic of Zambia lawyer deserves like a 4x4 off Shantumbu Road. So simply saying the lawyers that are representing the Zambian government did a very good job, that actually they are supposed to be given some plot in Zambia just to reward them for a good job that they are doing, representing the case or the arguments on behalf of the Zambian government there. That's according to Oliver Shah. And then obviously Emmanuel Mwamba was laughing at the people that were protesting on behalf of the repatriation of Edgar Shagalungu's body. So they say a picture of the day. You can see that one of the protesters pushing the agenda of against the Lungu family there. She's even holding a poster, a placard, upside down. Pretty much she has no idea of what is being written there or what she's doing. That's what Emmanuel Mwamba was laughing at there. It's a picture of the day. The UPND was like, it was at this point that John Sangwa threw in the towel during the 2016 presidential petition. This family lawyer should just do the same. Otherwise, the judges are not buying his story. So according to the UPND, simply saying that the family lawyer wasn't doing a good job, let him just follow suit what John Sangwa had done in 2016 when he had petitioned. So those are some of the protesters that were on behalf of pushing the heritage of Zambia. Edgar Shagalungu belongs to Zambia and not South Africa there. So Lungu must go, must be buried home. So some of the protesters there in the earlier video that I showed you, pretty much reiterating that point that was put up by Mashake earlier on, simply saying, are they going to do that in the next sitting? And this is what the Attorney General had to say now after the hearing. Just stand by, let me play you what the Attorney General of Zambia had to say after the court hearing.
Indicated. But what even the court was asking, that did the deceased president make his wish that he wanted to be buried in Zambia? And the answer was yes. So who is saying he shouldn't be buried in Zambia? The first respondent is the one who has made the decision. But again, of course, she could have made that decision because the law here in South Africa says the next of kin. Yeah, so it's looking at what the law says here.
Is this something that the Zambian
So there, the Attorney General simply highlights the proceedings, the way it has happened in court, where the judges pretty much stated to say, did actually Edgar Lungu wish to be buried in South Africa? So it seems like both the family and the Zambian government were standing on the same point, simply stating to say, actually Edgar Lungu wished to be buried in Zambia. They acknowledge that, but the difference comes in where the Edgar Lungu family simply said the sitting president Hakainde Hichilema should not be part of the funeral proceedings. That's where they depart from an agreement. Otherwise, both sides agreed to say Edgar Lungu wished to be buried in Zambia, but he did not wish Hakainde Hichilema to be part of that proceeding. And then the Attorney General simply says, if we're following the South African law, obviously the next of king, which is the Edgar Lungu's wife and kids, those are the ones that have authority over his remains. So we wait and see what decision the judges will make. So the Attorney General is simply updating the media there. Whose wishes should the court decide upon? The wish of the deceased or the family? Judges asks family lawyer Yazanda Uk. So that's some of the highlights from the hearing. And then obviously these were supporting the Lungu family. Why the obsession pretty much with the body that the Lungu family decided. And then this is tyranny. Stop the tyranny. So those are some of the protests that were happening outside court. And then Chief Etali also pushes the agenda to say at family lawyer Bachimuri Shamo. And then he alleges to say pretty much, and then he puts Sean Tembo's post where I would say his verbal submissions, referring to the family lawyer, his verbal submissions were making a departure from his written submissions, thereby strengthening the case for the applicant. Anyway, Tilitonse and the feature is Sean Tembo. So simply, Sean Tembo was simply saying what the family lawyer was speaking and what was written are two different things. He was pretty much like stating the case for the Zambian government, pretty much. And then Chief Etali alleges to say, no, I'm Rishamo. And then Manon Wambask said, so by you, PND, tell me, why are you celebrating? We verify. So as you can see from the earlier posts, it seems like the UPND were happy with the outcome of the court proceedings today. So Emmanuel Mamba ended up asking to say about 39 minutes ago, say, why UPND, why are you celebrating? There's something that we do not know. And then obviously they responded to him in the comment section to say, hey, something happened there. Obviously Sean Tembo there, pretty much retaliating the same point. These are some of the images from that. And then former President Edgar Lungu was a national figure of national importance. He therefore deserves a state funeral, lawyer tells Gauteng High Court in Pretoria there. And then responding to Emmanuel Wamba's question where the UPND seemed to have been celebrating. And then Mashaka responded to Emmanuel Wamba simply saying, Your Excellency, you were supposed to continue updating updating. This case may actually go through for the family, but let's all agree that the family arguments were shredded to pieces in courtroom today. So he simply said that, okay, fine. Yes, the verdict eventually might go to the Lungu family, but the way the lawyer represented the family today was shredded. Pretty much the government won the day in court today, according to Mashaka Yakashambato there. But the verdict might hold something else. But the reality is that the lawyer that they hired as a family did not do a good job today. The UPND was like, from your submission, you seem to agree with the applicant. The applicant in this case, this is the Zambian government. You seem to agree with telling the lawyers for Edgar Lungu's family. You seem to agree with the applicant on the substantive matter to repatriate Edgar Lungu's body, but only disagree on peripheral issues, court judge tells family lawyer. And that's the truth, because as I earlier stated, both the Lungu family and the Zambian government agreed to say the body should be repatriated to Zambia. The difference, which the judge refers to as a peripheral issue, is the attendance of President Hakainde Hichilema. The family does not want President Hakainde Hichilema present at the funeral or during the proceedings. That's where the departure comes from. But otherwise, him coming back to Zambia and being buried at the embassy park, the family would love that. It seems like they are in agreement with that, and that's a submission with the Zambian government. But where President Hakainde Hichilema should preside over the proceedings, that's where the departure, which the court refers to as peripheral issues. The main matter is the repatriation. You agree on both of that. So we wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, that's what happened in court earlier on. There's too much to cover today. I think I'll end this broadcast here. Otherwise, it's going to be too long for no apparent reason. But yeah, that's what happened in court today. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. We wait for the verdict. It might come tomorrow or the day after, but definitely not beyond Friday, according to the judges earlier on.